through the Second World War, and then she last fired her guns in anger during the Korean War. She was the flagship for the United Nations. She was saved from the breakers yard, brought to London 1971. A very, very lucky ship. In all her days at sea and all the action that she was involved in, she only lost 2 men. Just 2 lives, 2 fatalities in all her days at sea. Quite incredible. And to think when she went round escorting the merchant convoys round to Murmansk and Archangel in freezing conditions, would be enough to kill him if he was on deck too long. And the crew would have had to take it in turns, going out onto the deck and breaking the ice from the guns to save it becoming too top heavy and capsizing. And let's hope they don't get a leak one evening. On the right, we've got the famous old Billingsgate Fish Market, famous in London for their fine fresh fish, and the Cockney Porters for their foul language. That building was built about in the 1850s. Nice old building. Now used for filming and corporate functions. And right next door, a modern blue glass building, St Magnus House, the London offices for the OK Celebrity magazine. View of Southwark Cathedral, and it dates back to the 13th century. Edmund Shakespeare, the younger brother of William, he's buried in the grounds of that cathedral. And for the young children, as well as everybody else, look at the pirate ship, boys and girls, in the small dockway. It's a real pirate ship on your left. Barges, rubbish is compressed into those containers, and they're stacked too high in there, so there's a lot of traffic off our heavily congested roads of London. I suppose it will be a big improvement to the route there. But they're extending onto the red columns here, the remains of the first railway built over the river. And that became unsafe. It was closed years ago. But they strengthened one of the columns and they put an extension onto it. And also here is Blackfriars Road Bridge. 1869 it was opened by Queen Victoria. They're all Victorian, those 3 bridges. All for boys. And that's now offices for J.P. Morgan, a wealthy American bank. But that was a school for boys in its day. And next door is a lovely red brick building. And the face of the building looks like a church, as you can see. Simon College is a study for the clergy here in London. And it's said to house many books that relate to all the different religions of the world. Phone boxes. Just for that gap there, that's the Middle Temple in there, an old Elizabethan building. And you see that table they all set down for their evening meal? That table was made from timbers from the Golden Hind, which was finally broken up at Deptford. Then to the right is a livery hall for the Company of Master Mariners. That's for the old sea captains of London. Prince Charles and his father, the Duke of Edinburgh, are both members of the company. And the little St Catherine to the right is the old Waterloo Bridge. This one was opened in 1945, known on the river as the Ladies' Bridge, because it was built by ladies during the Second World War. For the shortage of men, the boys were away fighting for king and country, and the girls at home under construction jobs. And this bridge was one of them. So well done to the girls, who made an excellent job of the bridge. Well done. On that river wall to the right, we have London's oldest monument, Cleopatra's Needle. The granite column was sent from Egypt, a gift to us in recognition of Admiral Lord Nelson's victory over Napoleon and the French fleet at the Battle of the River Nile. Incredible that it's still in one piece. And this is the last bridge we go beneath on the little journey through to Big Ben. And one of the old traditions we have on the river here, when it's the last bridge we pass beneath, then you wave to the people on the bridge. And if they wave back to you, it's said to bring you 5 years of good luck. That's if there's anybody there. Give my toe, Captain. There's another one on the other side too, so keep waving and keep smiling. They're the youngest bridges over the Thames there, ladies and gentlemen, the Hungerford and the Golden Jubilee Walkways. 10 years old. On the right, two ships, the Hispaniola, a floating restaurant ship, and the Tattershall Castle, an old ferry boat from the Humber, a bar and nightclub today. The lovely Gothic style building is Whitehall Court, and that's mainly apartments. And in there we have the 5-star Royal Horse Guards Hotel, and that's quite nice on television. The Royal Air Force War Memorial for London's on the right hand side, the white column with the eagle on the top. It commemorates the men and women who sadly fell during the First and the Second World War. The beak of that bird, it points to the coast of France, where so many of the brave airmen sadly fell. But they gave their lives for the freedom that we all have and enjoy today. Now carried over 50 million people. A great piece of engineering. The wheel was constructed in the river here on a rig and then slowly winched into the upright position. Had a bit of difficulty at first, but eventually got used to it. One of the best times I'm told to go on here is actually an evening time. It's a lovely clear evening. To see London of a night time is quite spectacular.
Oh no.
And there has been a parliamentary building here now for over 500 years. But many years ago there was actually a royal palace on that site. Hence the official name of that building, the new Palace of Westminster. And the clock is called Big Ben. We all call it Big Ben. But Big Ben is merely a nickname of the bell, the 13.5-ton bell that chimes on the hour. They named it after the Commissioner of Works, a man called Sir Benjamin Hall. But he only stood 5 foot tall. But he was also about 5 foot round. He rather looked like a bell. And they wanted to name the bell after somebody, so they chose him. He was the Commissioner of Works, and he'd done a very good job here, making sure everything went according to plan. And as he looked like a bell, they named it after him. Sir Benjamin Hall, ladies and gentlemen. So we can't call a bell Big Richard, can you, ladies and gentlemen? But its real name is the Great Clock of Westminster. When you leave us here shortly, just walk across there, and at the bottom of the clock you will see the inscription on the bottom, the Great Clock of Westminster. And through that gap you can see King of England in that building on Christmas Day in 1066. So there's a lot of history in that whole building there. And you can go over there and have a look at the Abbey, and even walk around the Parliament building. It is quite a nice building, folks. A beautiful piece of architecture. Well, what we're going to do, folks, have a nice afternoon here in Westminster. You see, we've turned the boat and we're coming alongside very shortly. Just for safety reasons, it's very important that we just remain seated until we're safely berthed alongside the pier. And when you are exiting the top deck, there are the 2 flights of stairs to leave the top deck. Right? In fact, there's 2 flights of stairs. And we'll be leaving from the front of the boat on the port side where many of you boarded. Be careful leaving the boat, especially with the babies. Mind the step. But I will be at the door to help you ensure you'll be okay. Well, thanks for your kind attention whilst we've been underway, boys and girls. And the last little thing we do mention once again is a brief little word about our commentary that we've given. Now, as we said, we're not tour guides here, we're all licensed watermen. We don't mind standing here, pointing out a few buildings along the way. Because unfortunately, the people that own this boat, they do not employ or hire multilingual, talented tour guides. And us crew members feel it's a bit of a shame for you to have a boat ride, especially on a lovely day like this, and nobody mentions a few buildings of interest along the way. So we pass on some of our local knowledge. And if you don't know what a couple of bob is, well, we do also accept travellers' checks, visa cards, telephone numbers, etc, etc, etc. Seriously, it's been a pleasure to talk to. Hope so I've mentioned has added to your little journey here today. You have a nice day out in old London town. God bless, and God save the Queen. There you go. Thank you.